I'm Laura.
And we are Two Paper Girls.
Today we're doing another Top 5 Wednesday, although we are slightly changing the topic this week. It's meant to be books suggested to you that you love, but we don't really read that many suggested books, apart from to each other, but I've got a massive TBR, so I don't really get around to things very quickly. So we've slightly changed it instead to recommend books to you, but we've tried to recommend slightly different ones that you probably haven't heard us talk about as much.
Saying that, I recommend you Maggot Moon by Sally Gardner. You may have heard me and Laura talking about this because we've both read this in the last couple of years. It's so good. It's just like a weird, contemporary, but it's kind of got fantastical elements to it. It's just wild and wacky, and Sally Gardner's writing is really lovely. It's pretty short as well. You can fly through it really quickly. It's not particularly a YA, but it's just a really nice book to read if at any age, really. It makes you think, but also the elements make it really nice for kids maybe, and this book is just really lovely.
My number 5 choice is 0.4 by Mike Lancaster. This is a book I've kind of mentioned as being underhyped, but I've put it at number 5 because I haven't actually read this for quite a few years, but when I did I remember really loving it. If you like sci-fi, this has a really original take. It's like someone finds this recorded cassette thing with this guy explaining about when these aliens come to the world and everyone kind of gets possessed, and he's the only one that can kind of see what's happening, and he records his thoughts, and then in the future people find it and they're like, oh my god, our society is based on all this. And it's just a really wacky, super quick read. It's at number 5 though because I can't remember how good the writing is, or if it's got typical love interest tropes and things, which always are annoying, but I do plan on rereading it because it's really, really quick. But I would definitely recommend looking it up on Goodreads and seeing if you think you might like it.
My number 4 is I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zuzak. Laura is currently reading this with Robin and they're really enjoying it. I would recommend this book to anyone at all because it's just a really, really well written book. It's about a guy who receives these cards in the post after being in a bank robbery, and then he has to go to different people's houses and looking on all their lives, and he's like a god figure, and it's just a really good book. It's so emotional, but it's funny as well because the narrator's hilarious, and I just think it's got every good thing that a book can have.
My number 4 choice is White Saga SOC by Jean Rees. I decided to include this because I thought people do want to read classics and more adult books, but it's always kind of hard to know where to start, and White Saga SOC is really, really tiny. It's probably under 200 pages, but it's based on Jane Eyre kind of, and it's just a really good read. The writing style is gorgeous, and it's got quite a lot of plot, but you can also kind of think about it on a deeper level if that's something you want to get out of classics. And I think it's a really good starting place. It's probably one of my favourite classics I've read during university.
My number 3 recommendation is Love of Pie by Anne Martel because it's one of my favourite books, and I would recommend it to anyone because it's just a really nice story about a little boy. Well, he's not little, but he gets stranded in a lifeboat with a tiger, and it's just so metaphorical and good. And you think the plot's going to be slow and boring because the whole book he's just in a lifeboat with a tiger, but it's just his thought process and all the things that he could think of, and just it's a world inside a little lifeboat, and it's just so good, and it's just so colourful. And Laura still hasn't read it. Who said that? It's such a good book, and yeah, you should read this. It's so amazing.
My number 3 recommendation is one of my favourite books from 2015, and that is The Next Together by Lauren Janes. We actually got the chance to interview this author, so we'll put that down below if you're interested. But I just think this is genuinely such a good, refreshing YA read because it has all these different timelines, a bit like Everyone's Freaking Out About a Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. It's like that, but probably better because Alexandra Bracken's on there. But it has all these 4 timelines with this couple and all these different things, and they have to kind of save the world in every single one, and then all things start to intertwine. So it's got a lot of mystery, but there's also different time periods, and the characters are really well written. And overall, it's just a really good book, with a really pretty cover, and I really recommend it if you want a YA kind of romance, but something that's not so makes you sigh with how stereotypical it is.
My number 2 is Paper Towns by John Green. I have to say this one because I've got it tattooed on my body, so I kind of need to recommend the book to say it's amazing because it has to be amazing. It's just so good. If you like road trips, YA, John Green. I don't know why he's getting such a hard time because he's just amazing. This book is just so... it's just an escapist book. You can just read it and just get away. And the characters just feel like your best friends. If you want that in a book, just something that you can feel like it's your book that no one else has read, read Paper Towns.
My number 2 is The Realm of Possibility by David Levithan. A lot of people really like David Levithan on BookTube, but I feel like this is a book not many people have really heard of or really review or talk about, but it's a really, really short book and it has like 15 different points of view. I can't remember, I think it has a slight like interlocking of characters, but there's not like a big plot, but it's just so well written, and every character, the way he uses language and the format on the page to kind of represent their language. Like the example I always think of is there's an anorexic girl in the book, and it's kind of like a poem. There's like a few words on a line, and it's like because she's all weak and can barely like write very much, and it's just that kind of small detail which is just beautiful, and it's one of my favourite books by him. I also love Every Day, but that's kind of really well known, so you should also read Realm of Possibility if you like David Levithan's writing.
And my top recommended book is All My Friends Are Superheroes by Andrew Kaufman. It's one of my favourite books, even though it is so tiny. It's only just over 100 pages long, and there's not many words on each page. This is a magical realism book, and it's for adults, kids, it's for anyone, because it's just about normal people, but they have superpowers, but their superpowers are actually their personality. I think I've said that about a million times on these videos. But this book is just so hard to explain, but when you read it, you just feel like you get it. And it's got a really nice plot because you just find out little bits about Tom and his wife's the perfectionist past. And it's just emotional and cute, and it's won lots of awards. It's kind of got a little cult following, and it's just the most lovely book. It's just great.
My top recommendation is again one that I hope you haven't heard of, but if you watch us, you've heard of it. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This is a really gorgeous edition I got for my birthday that I'll show off properly in my upcoming birthday book haul. But this book, I think I'm recommending it because I think a lot of people be like, oh, it's for kids, and I really struggle to read children's and middle grade books. So if that's what's worrying you, you should pick this up anyway because it's just so well written. Reading it as an adult doesn't detract from that. You just get all caught in the magic of it, but it's also got a much deeper layered meaning that you can more understand when you're older, I think. But also when you're a kid, you can get caught up in Neverland and all the magic of it. So literally all ages will enjoy this book. And it's just amazing, and I love it so much, so you should go read it.
So those were our books I would recommend to you. We're sorry we twisted this Top 5 Wednesday round a little bit, but like Laura said, we just don't tend to read books that get suggested to us very often because I always like to plan what I'm going to read, and I've read most of the books on my shelf. But yeah, those are the books that we really want you to read because we think they're amazing. Sorry for the double standards of we won't read your suggestions, but you read ours. But yeah, they're brilliant. We're not lying, promise.
So we'll see you on the next video.
Bye!